Well, the Defender's going back to the dealer again. It's not as bad as it sounds if you've been following the channel at all. This trip back to the dealership was planned. We had ordered side steps for the Defender, but they were on back order for 6 to 8 weeks. And we got a call from our dealership last week that the side steps were in, which was not 6 to 8 weeks later. It was 2 or 3 weeks. Beyond the side steps, the only thing that we're waiting for now is our activity key. And the reason we're waiting on that is due to the chip shortage. So there's really not a whole lot we can do about that. I'm not too terribly concerned about the activity key. I just saw it as an option, and I clicked on it, and so we're going to get one. The nice thing about our dealership, and again, I don't know if this is all Land Rover dealerships, but our dealership, for the most part, they come and pick up our vehicle and leave us a loaner, do what they need to do, bring our vehicle back to us, and then drive back to the dealership in the car that they loaned us for the day, which to me is outstanding service. And I figured because of the expense, the general expense of Jaguar and Land Rover vehicles, that's just standard practice at their dealerships. So guess what I just turned on? I just turned on the voice activation.
I didn't understand that. Please say a command.
Okay. But from what I'm hearing, that is not standard practice of Land Rover dealerships. So we apparently have a very good dealership, and which is not a surprise to me because the general manager of that dealership, he's an outstanding person in general, and he just happens to sell cars. We've been pretty happy over the years. They dropped off a 2020 Discovery. It's the new style of Discovery. I remember when those came out, we had our LR4. So we were interested in seeing it. What does the new Discovery look like? And back then, when it first came out, we were not impressed. It was a lot less room on the inside of the LR4, and it just didn't feel like a Discovery anymore. It didn't feel like an LR4. So we didn't like the direction they were going with those. And now that they've dropped off the 2020 model, and I was able to check it out for a bit, I haven't changed my mind. I don't like it. But that's why we didn't get one. One thing I did notice is that a lot of the things that are new to me in the 2022 Defender apparently have been around for a bit, at least for 2 years, because they were in this 2020 model. The difference in the gear shift, it changed from the knob to this stick again. The layout of the air conditioning knobs is the same. And the emergency buttons, which I like to call the nuclear buttons because they remind me of the way Hollywood portrays the nuclear buttons that are 25 feet apart, so it takes 2 separate people to simultaneously press them at the same time in order to launch a nuclear missile. But they're really they're safety covers. It's another one of those features that I didn't know I was getting. It's their safety covers so you don't accidentally push them. And I do like having those covers on there. But again, on the 2020 Discovery, it didn't have the amount of space that we've gotten used to in the LR4. And the whole reason we test drove the 2020 Defender, even though we were looking for a 2021, we just wanted to make sure that the ride was similar or at least acceptable as a replacement for our vehicle, and whether or not we felt like we had enough space on the inside, which obviously is true since we decided to upgrade to the Defender. To answer a question in the comments of a previous video, how is the ride compared to the LR4? The ride is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful as far as on surface streets and light off-road. And by light off-road, I mean Illinois streets, because it's kind of like driving off-road, even though they're paved. And while we're on the subject of answering comments, back when I was complaining about my rear windows not going down, there was a comment saying that most cars are like that. They advised me to check my other vehicles and see those windows aren't going to go down either. So I did that, but you have to take into consideration what my other vehicles are. I have a truck. I don't have that problem of a wheel getting in the way of my window, so in my experience, my rear window goes all the way down. However, my wife just got a new vehicle. She got a Bronco Sport. my goodness. I will never complain about these Defender windows again after seeing that. So apparently I never really have noticed the rear windows on any vehicle till my window broke. Now I'm probably going to be obsessed for that for at least a few months. Hey, like your car, do your windows go all the way down in the back? Which would be a really strange question to ask, but such is life. So we got our vehicle back, and the side steps are now installed. And I would say that the reason we got the side steps is, one, we just like the look of it. We just like the way it looks on vehicles in general. You know, my truck has side steps, the LR4 had side steps, and we wanted side steps here. But the other reason we got it is for our kids. Now, our kids have gotten used to climbing into the Defender like it's a jungle gym because of how high it is. Even at its lowest setting, it's a little high for our youngest one. So now that we have the side steps, I mean, they get in and out, no problem. And getting in is one thing. It was the getting out it's a much higher drop and a variable drop, depending if we're not at home. Other than that, the vehicle is doing great, and it's riding great. It's riding great. It's running great, and haven't had any electronic problems. So we will see what we can get into next.